did make a beginning. I started off Vlogmas with a Oldies unboxing, which I've realised I still haven't uploaded. So I'm going to do that today. I wanted to do Vlogmas, and I was all geared up for it at the beginning of December, which was nearly a week ago. I was just going to do a similar thing to how I did like the 30 days of card and just talk about fun things and like maybe some seasonal stuff. But the whole week has been complete off the planet chaos for me, mostly internally as some externally. I think most of you know that I've got this trip planned to go to Canada and then the UK, and part of one of the big reasons for it was to bring my sister back to New Zealand to stay, help sell up her home and everything. Well, I've got a huge shock on Monday evening, which was the 1st of December. This thank you card here. I mean, I practice gratitude every day. I don't even have to think about it. But I mean, okay, that might be a little white lie. Very, very occasionally I have to remind myself, but it's pretty much, even in the deepest depression, I can still find it. I've been able to do that all my life. I consider myself very blessed in that way, even as a really young child. And I mean, I've got poems I wrote as a teenager, like we all do, you know, all that angst and stuff. And always there's this shining light. And I know this is within me. There is this burning, shining light within me that has kept me going through some really dark times. I'm always thankful for that. This is my spark, and I honour that spark. I might have not always honoured myself as a person, my inner child, my being, but that little spark of light, which is to me is the divine. Whatever that means to anyone, that is the whole spirit, the whole centre. I'm not a religious person, I am a spiritual person. Religion is a man-made concept, and I have issues with some of the things around it. Pain it causes, but faith is a different thing. To me, they're very different. I honour and respect all faiths, but I do not respect anything that harms others. Anyway, I don't know how I got onto that. Let's talk about that word divine, and then I want to talk about words in this video because this is really something I've been thinking a lot about lately, and it came up yesterday in a chat I was watching online. So this thank you card that I've got here in my trusty pinecone card holder has got a big job today. It's like it's there on my little desk for a reason. I'm thankful for my sister's life. We nearly lost her this week. She was ill, thought it was asthma, then pneumonia, and it turned out to be a massive pulmonary embolism, and it's really hard to talk about without, getting emotional and tears. So she's out of the woods. She was in ICU, had the treatment, this thrombolysis thing. Thank you for these things, but how lucky to actually get there in time and to get it dispersed. And I mean, there's ongoing things and treatment, so that everything's changed. Obviously she won't be able to fly back with us. We're still going. I was all night looking up different flights, changing everything. I've got to get over there now. You know how you panic, and then actually there was nothing I could have done. She's kind of feeling better now than before because I've done like all of the tests, and she's out of the woods, and they know there's no nasty things lurking, and the blood thinners are treating the dispersed parts of the embolism, the blood clot, right on her heart and resting on her lung. It's horrific. I am so thankful for that. But it did, when something like that happens in your life and it just completely throws you off the planet, you just can't reorientate. I have a lot of trouble with that anyway. I mean, just the simplest little thing, being away from my home for a few hours in town, takes me ages to reorientate myself into my space when I get back, which is why I can't do it very often. It just takes so much energy. But that's the thank you thing, and I'm trying to make it a little bit Christmassy. I've got my Lego on my desk. I made this bus. I actually bought this kit in Wellington because it was a London bus, and London double-decker buses remind me of Christmas when I was little. And they used to have Hamleys signs on them. We used to go to Hamleys, which was a big toy shop in London, with my mum. My little Lego bus. I've also got candles. I've got one of my little tea light houses there. This is a more Christmassy one. I don't know if you can see that. I'll kind of try and tilt it a bit. I love those. I haven't found one this year for my collection yet, but I will keep looking. And while I'm talking, I thought I'd share. I've been using the Juicy Living cards this week by SARK. And SARK is a pretty amazing, fun person. Susan Ariel Rainbow Kennedy. It has a website. On here it says campsark.com. I don't know if it is still that same website. This is the Juicy Living deck, but SARK did a lot of amazing art. And this is an old deck. I've had this well over 20 years. I got it before I came to New Zealand, and it's just a reminder of living exuberantly and joyfully, and when you feel stuck and down. And I mean, it's quite good I got this deck, because I didn't know what was going to happen on Monday. They're just gorgeous. They're double-sided, so there's obviously no book. I love this, A Poet's Nap Hut Dream House. Sacred living, healing spaces. Play outside more often. This deck is still available, by the way. But it helps, you know, to think about you journaling and all kinds of things. I mean, and I was using it with the tarot. The other day I got the Hanged Man, and I got a card here that says do nothing, which was amazing. They work like that. But I want to talk about, I've got this book here too, The Old Magic of Christmas. And it uses the word magic, and this is what I wanted to talk about. I was on as I said, watching the playback of a live chat yesterday. The word magic was mentioned. It had been used in the title of someone's video, and how it caused some sort of contentious debate. So that was The Old Magic of Christmas, which was originally released in 2013. And it's about old traditions and things, but the thing is, it uses the word magic. The word magic actually, no one knows the true origin. It's one of those words that no one knows the true origin of it. It was related to the Magi. It used to mean, I think in the ancient Sanskrit, it meant priest or of a certain caste. And the Magi, of course, are the three kings who came to visit Christ or the baby Jesus, and brought him the golden frankincense and the myrrh. But the word later became kind of related to things that were more esoteric or hidden. But magic, the word magic, like tarot, has a lot of bad misconception and bad connotations. Tarot started off as a game. Twice this week I've been pulled up about the tarot. Once someone said, oh, you do tarot cards? I said, yeah. And I said, oh, did you want a reading to do something? And they said, oh, I don't know, it's scary. I said, no, it's not scary. And then someone piped up, oh, yes, it is. It's the devil or something. I said, no, it's not. It's a deck of cards. And I picked up a menu on the table, and I said, look, if they draw a cross on it, does it make it holy? No. If you draw a cross on it and you want to believe it's holy, is it holy? Yes. There is so much ignorance and misconception around about it, and bad teaching. And if people want to believe that tarot cards, nowhere does it say you have to use them for divination or prophecy. I know what it says in the book of Deuteronomy. I've actually read the whole Bible 3 times. It also says do not wear wool and linen together, and do not consume blood, and do not eat the flesh of pigs or swine. But I don't see people eating bacon get ripped off. I don't see anyone who's eating bacon be, yelled and screamed at because they're eating bacon. I mean, I don't yell and scream at people who eat bacon. If they want to eat dead animals and rotting flesh, that's up to them. So words like magic, if you use the word magic in a title, some people who've been informed that this is bad, this is hidden, this is and had this fear put into them, are going to recoil. They're going to think, no. There's a lot of different prejudices and things around. But to make a word like magic evil, to me, seems just kind of not quite right. And it's like the tarot. Tarot started off as a game. There's a lot of stories about how it came from ancient Egypt and stuff, but the fact is it wasn't actually related to using it for divination and related to fortune telling and things until in France in the late 18th century. But what I'm saying is it was a game. Tarocchi was a game. And I think the name, even the etymology of the word Tarocchi is kind of confusing. I'm pretty sure that, rota was for wheel, but Tarocchi was originally the game, and tarot probably came from that. And that just meant to, I think in the ancient Greek or something, meant to cast aside, because in that game you had to cast aside cards. And that's where we got the Marseille and the Visconti Sforza and those decks from. And the Solabusca were originally designed as a very fancy parlour game and hand-painted, I believe sometimes by holy people. And the tarot became a form of structured thought. Like you could structure thoughts. You can go through a whole deck of tarot cards and you can tell a journey, like a story, like The Fool's Journey, Star Wars, Most stories, most films, most series and that are based on The Fool's Journey. The tarot is 78 stories or more. There's so much into it that you can look at. You can look at a tree or a cloud and you can see a lot of things into it. And if they help you to grow and to be a better person, to me, that is serving any higher power in the best possible way you can. Words like magic, yeah, it does kind of throw me. I think they get hidden away, and I talk about things that people don't want to talk about. I don't want to offend anyone. As I said, I respect all faith. I don't respect harming or blaspheming people for life choices they make that don't harm anyone else. I respect faith, I respect spirituality, I respect people's beliefs and the right to believe in what they believe in, as long as it harms no others, which ironically is kind of the witch's creed. Do as you will, but harm none. So let's have a quick look at these cards. Enjoy it. And a tiny adventurous moment close to home. It changes your perspective, reminds you that the world is deep and rich and full of colour and miracles. Your life is an adventure. You are always on your way to a miracle. Now, this is an oracle. This is a deck of like oracle cards, creative card. Look how joyful and creative they are. This is like a little angel creature, and it's got the word miracle, which is also like something from the kind of supernatural. It's a supernatural event, like magic is related to supernatural things. And the word miracle came up. Instead of the magic of Christmas, call it the miracle of Christmas. Yeah, well, that's fine. There was that miracle of Christmas. Let miracles find you. There are miracles every single day in our lives. My sister being here is a miracle. The flying pillow. Lie down, you have permission. Remember, quiet time at camp and schools. Now you can nap whenever you want to. My camp was a little hut I made on this old disused, the side of this old disused railway track, like where they used to carry coal out of a quarry. We built a camp there, and that was my camp. We weren't really allowed to go there, so it was a forbidden, hidden, esoteric place, I guess. The flying pillow. Show these words to anyone who asks, why are you still in bed? You have permission to nap more often. These are so joyful, these cards. We must be our own indelible best friend that can never be broken. I don't know what the light's like, I'll tell you, but it's the sun's kind of up now. It wasn't before. I have got a light on, just a normal room light. I'm getting a new light for Christmas. Isn't that exciting? I had these really old photography lights, the crappy, really bad, stupid little bulbs in. Share outrageous stories and eat impossibly delicious cake. I sold my speakers yesterday. I showed them in the 30 days video. My lovely speakers. And I have treasured those for years. And I didn't really ever want that to happen. But when I did, it's been a year. It was one of those organic flowing things that happened completely in a kind of pretty serendipitous way. And the person who bought them is such a joy and going to nurture and love them like I did, because they were a huge part of my life. They've been on the ferry, they've gone on the ferry to Wellington and across some wild sea, and the ship broke down at the end and they had to get a tugboat to pull it into the port. The speakers obviously did not want to leave me, but they'll be happy, And these people were really gorgeous. I don't normally meet strangers, and they were so nice. Bought me the most amazing vegan salted caramel chocolates. If you live in New Zealand, look out for Wonderland, Snake Charmer, cashew milk, salted caramel. Invite someone dangerous to tea. Allow the outrageous. Tea time is the caffeine version of nap time. Fling yourself into storytelling and tea sipping. Reveal your best dangerous self. There are no rules. Wear hats and gloves and tell your most fabulous stories. Invite someone you've always wanted to meet. Be an adventure. Yes, Paddy Smith, this invitation goes out to you. Let's share outrageous stories and eat impossibly delicious cake. Or any of you guys, I'm not saying you're dangerous, but I would love you to come to tea. Measure time by mugs of tea. I literally used to do that. At one time I drank like 16 or more cups of black tea a day. And that was in the day before I drank coffee though. Love is felt in all directions. You are always surrounded by love. I know some of these things sound a bit twee and thing, but on the whole, this deck is not a twee deck. It's got some really cool, like, kick-ass stuff in it. You are sublimely exactly how you need to be at this moment. I do believe that now. And then we've got the juicy tree, which does kind of look like a bit of a mandrake root. Find yourself a new, nourishing spot. It's all about just beautiful stuff. You are the star. We love to watch you grow. As I said, I've loved, and that was that poet's heart. I don't know if I showed you that up close. Play outside more often. I've also got some books of SARKs from a long time ago too, so I'll put those there for a minute. But you can still get this deck, and it's not an expensive deck, and the cards are big, they're beautiful, colourful, they're really good for journaling. I'm going to do a video about decks that I would recommend for creative people who do writing or journaling or art, because I've got a few, and they're not always labelled as being for creative people. So SARK did quite a few books too. This is Living Juicy, Daily Morsels for Your Creative Soul. So there's an adventure calendar, a word a week. It's just beautiful. And it's got lots of creative, like, create your own world. Creating is a right, not a privilege. I spent a lot of time as a child drawing entire worlds that contained little families of mice living in matchboxes and sliding down spoons. And as I drew, I literally lived inside these worlds. This same thing happened in libraries and in the apple tree branches in my backyard. I did it in trees, and I remember the libraries too. I loved the library. The library was my first magical, amazing, out of this world place when it was like, to me, I've never been into theme parks, Disney, that kind of thing filled me with dread. But a library, to me, that would be my theme park. That would be my childhood joy. Permission to invent. And it's just got all these gorgeous things for every day, and in her little joyful drawings. So that's, as I said, look at the cover. I mean, it used to be really, really bright like that, but now it looks like that. And then we've got this one called Inspiration Sandwich, Stories to Inspire Our Creative Freedom. And it says, eat this book. That's so, like, you know, adorable. Remember the sandbox. All you needed was bare toes in warm sand and maybe a good bucket. Then you could build your own world. We all have wonderful new worlds to build. And again, it talks about all these different things. And it's 46 chapters of inspiring stories. Shall we choose a story? What date is it today? It is I don't even know. It was the 5th on Friday, 6th. So it's the 7th. So let's look and see if there's a story on page 7. If it's not one on page 7, then we'll look on page 34, because that adds up to 7. Okay, page 7. Celebrate an old person. We called my grandfather Popper, when I was 10, he had a playhouse built for me and installed in our backyard. It had sliding glass windows, a tile floor, Dutch doors, and electricity. I was in 10-year-old heaven. I declared myself to be a writer and immediately moved into my little house. And then I decided I wanted a horse and asked Bopper, and he said, okay, let's see about it. He went and got a yellow legal pad. I still don't quite know what one of those is, and sat with me at the dining room table. We began listing all the tasks and expenses associated with owning a horse. Brushing, feeding, exercising, etc. Before long, the page was completely full, and I looked up and I said, Bopper, I don't think I want a horse after all. He looked surprised and put the pad away. There are certain old people who can help you grow into yourself better, and he was one of them. And it's funny because my granddaughter wants a unicorn for Christmas, and I've tried to explain that she can have the unicorn will come. I showed her where the unicorn poo was. They're knocking the door, but because unicorns are kind of magical, we can't trap them and they can't live with us. But I might do what that story said and create a list of all the things that they would have to do if they had a pet unicorn. So on that note, because little people are banging the door, and I hope this hasn't been too miserable and grumpy. I didn't mean it to be, just, you know. And with so much thanks for this deck from SARK and for my sister and for all you guys. Happy Vlogmas. This is my second Vlogmas video. I will try, as I said, I was going to do it more, but it got off to a difficult start. So, bye for now. Thanks for being there.